The air in the room is still. A single mat lies centered on the floor, and a rack of iron weights stands against the wall. The 51-year-old male steps into the space, his eyes scanning the equipment. He takes a long breath, resetting his focus. Before the first movement begins, there is a necessity that precedes all effort. Every physical journey requires a foundation of caution. Consult a healthcare professional before beginning any exercise program. Understand your physical condition and adjust every movement to meet your current fitness level. This is not about speed. It is about longevity and controlled, deliberate progress. By acknowledging these boundaries, he prepares his mind for the work ahead. He knows that safety is the first tool in any training session. With the disclaimer set and his intent clear, he turns his attention toward the floor. The environment is ready. The preparation is complete. Now, the body must transition from rest to action. The session transitions into movement. He stands firm, feet shoulder-width apart, and begins with low arm circles. He sweeps his arms wide, feeling the stretch across his chest and the loosening of his shoulder blades. Each rotation is deliberate, tracing a wide arc through the air, waking up the dormant joints. He pauses for a heartbeat, then shifts his focus to his legs. He starts marching in place, lifting his knees high with every step. He keeps his torso upright, driving his knees toward his chest to engage his core. The rhythm of his feet hitting the floor creates a steady cadence in the quiet room. With every lift, he feels the blood beginning to circulate more freely, warming the muscles from the inside out. He maintains a consistent pace, coordinating his breath with the physical effort. The stagnation of the morning gives way to a sense of readiness. He is no longer just standing in the room. He is actively preparing his frame for the intensity that follows. The movement is fluid, controlled, and focused entirely on the mechanical demands of the body as it prepares to perform. He slows the march, allowing his feet to settle back onto the mat. The heart rate stays elevated, but the focus shifts inward. He begins the final phase of the warm-up. Slow, deliberate shoulder rolls. He draws his shoulders up toward his ears in a smooth, circular path, then rolls them back and down, releasing the tension held throughout the day. He repeats this motion, feeling the scapulae glide along the rib cage. The rhythm of the movement is slow, almost hypnotic. It is a moment of total physical alignment. He focuses on the exact trajectory of each rotation, ensuring the range of motion is maximized with every pass. This is the final stage of preparation, where the mind anchors itself firmly in the task ahead. The restlessness of the morning has been replaced by a calm, focused kinetic energy. He stands tall, his posture set, his breathing deep and steady. The joints feel supple and ready for load. The warm-up is complete. He is now grounded, his awareness fully tuned to the resistance he is about to face. There is no more doubt, only the quiet readiness of a body prepared to perform. He lowers himself onto the mat, settling his weight firmly against the floor. He reaches for the dumbbells, his fingers curling around the cold, textured metal. He positions them at chest level, elbows angled slightly inward to protect the joints. With a deep, controlled breath, he initiates the first L. He pushes the weight straight up, his triceps engaging as the arms lock out above him. He lowers them slowly, feeling the stretch across his pectorals before driving them back toward the ceiling. Every repetition is synchronized with his breathing. He exhales sharply on the exertion, a steady, rhythmic hiss that cuts through the silence of the room. This is the first of 4 sets, 10 repetitions each. He keeps his feet planted, driving through his heels to stabilize his torso against the floor. There is no wasted motion. The weight moves in a clean, vertical line, testing the limits of his strength while he maintains absolute focus on his form. He marks the count, his mind locked into the cadence of the press. He completes the final rep of the first set, lowers the weights to the floor, and takes a moment to reset his grip. The momentum is set. The work has begun. He rises from the mat and moves to the bench, shifting his focus to the posterior chain. He plants one knee firmly on the surface, leaning forward until his torso is parallel to the ground. His spine remains neutral, a straight line from tailbone to neck. He reaches down to grasp the dumbbell, feeling the weight pull against his shoulder. He pulls, driving his elbow back toward the hip rather than up toward the ceiling. The movement is deliberate, a concentrated contraction of the back muscles. He holds the peak for a heartbeat, feeling the squeeze between his shoulder blades, before lowering the weight with a slow, controlled descent. He repeats this 10 times per side, 4 sets in total. He keeps his core braced throughout, preventing any rotation in the torso. Every row is an exercise in stability. He monitors his breathing, ensuring the inhale matches the release and the exhale powers the lift. There is a sense of grounded authority in the motion. He feels the muscles lengthen and shorten, the tension building with every repetition. He switches hands, mirroring the intensity, maintaining the same rhythm. He is not just lifting iron, he is building a foundation of strength. The back engages fully, the posture holds firm, and the movement remains precise from start to finish. He stands up, clearing the space around the bench to prepare for the next movement. He reaches for the dumbbells again, lifting them to shoulder height with a single, fluid motion. He plants his feet shoulder-width apart, creating a solid base. He draws his ribs down and tightens his midsection, locking his core into place to support the weight. He exhales, driving the dumbbells upward until his arms are fully extended. The movement is clean and vertical. He maintains a neutral neck, his gaze fixed on a point directly ahead. He lowers the weights with the same deliberate speed he used to lift them, feeling the tension across his deltoids. Every repetition demands absolute control. He focuses on his breathing, keeping it steady even as the burden of the iron increases. He completes 10 repetitions, feeling the burn settle into his shoulders. He pauses for a brief moment, resetting his posture before the next set. He braces his core once more, feeling the muscles of his back and stomach engage to protect his spine. He pushes again. The intensity rises with every set, but his form remains disciplined and unwavering. He is testing the limits of his overhead strength, one press at a time. The weight moves, the muscles contract, and the effort continues until the final set is complete. He lowers his arms, letting the weights hang at his sides before narrowing his stance. He pulls his elbows in, pinning them firmly against his rib cage. This creates a rigid anchor point for the movement. He breathes in, then exhales as he curls the dumbbells toward his shoulders, keeping his wrists straight and his forearms aligned. The isolation is immediate. He does not swing. He does not use his back. Every inch of the lift is dictated by the biceps. At the peak, he holds the weight for a second, feeling the muscle fibers tighten under the load. He lowers the iron with a slow, grinding count, resisting the pull of gravity all the way down to full extension. He repeats this 12 times, finding a rhythm that forces the blood into the muscle. The burn begins as a dull heat, then sharpens into a focused intensity with every subsequent repetition. He resets his grip, tightens his core, and initiates the next set. His elbows remain glued to his sides, a fixed pivot point that prevents any cheating. The exertion is visible in the way his muscles pulse and contract. He maintains a steady cadence, refusing to rush the transition. With each repetition, the sensation deepens, proving the effectiveness of the isolation. He finishes the final set, his arms heavy, the work complete. He releases the bar, shaking out his arms to clear the tension before the final movement of the day. He picks up a single dumbbell, gripping it with both hands. He lifts it overhead, locking his arms out to find his starting point. He keeps his spine perfectly vertical, ensuring his core remains braced against the weight. He bends his elbows, allowing the dumbbell to descend behind his head until his forearms touch his biceps. This deep stretch is the anchor of the movement. He exhales, driving the weight back toward the ceiling, focusing entirely on the contraction of the triceps. The burn is immediate and sharp. He keeps his elbows tucked inward, preventing them from flaring out to the sides. This alignment is critical for isolating the muscle. He lowers the weight with a slow, controlled descent, fighting the momentum in the iron. He counts the repetitions, his breathing synchronized with the effort. By the 10th rep, the fatigue is total. He pushes through the final 2, his muscles trembling under the load. He locks out the last rep, holds it for a heartbeat, and then carefully lowers the weight to the floor. The upper body session ends here. His arms feel heavy and fully worked, the physical exhaustion a testament to the session. He stands still for a moment, letting the intensity of the work settle into his frame. The focus now shifts to the foundation of the lower body. He picks up a single dumbbell, cradling one end against his chest with both hands. This position forces the core to engage immediately to keep the spine upright. He places his feet slightly wider than shoulder width, toes turned outward. He initiates the movement by pushing his hips back. As if reaching for a chair, he descends, keeping his chest lifted, ensuring the weight remains centered. He reaches the bottom of the squat, feeling the tension build in his quadriceps and glutes. He drives through his heels, exhaling hard as he rises to a full standing position. He repeats this 10 times per set, maintaining a consistent tempo that prevents any reliance on momentum. From the front, his knees track perfectly over his toes, showing stability. From the side, the vertical alignment of his torso remains steady throughout the entire range of motion. He completes 4 sets, each one deeper than the last. The weight held at the chest acts as a counterbalance, allowing him to sit lower and maximize the recruitment of his leg muscles. He pauses between sets to reset his stance and catch his breath. The physical demand is clear in the rhythm of his breathing and the controlled speed of his descent. Every repetition is a calculated effort to build strength and stability from the ground up. He sets the goblet aside and shifts his focus to the posterior chain. He takes a pair of dumbbells, holding one in each hand with a neutral grip. He stands with his feet hip-width apart, knees soft but not bent. He initiates the Romanian deadlift by pushing his hips straight back, feeling the immediate pull across the back of his legs. He keeps the weights close to his shins, dragging them downward as his torso hinges forward. He stops the descent when he feels a deep, intense stretch in his hamstrings, ensuring his back remains perfectly flat. The movement is not about how low the weights go, but about how far back the hips travel. He exhales, driving his heels into the floor and thrusting his hips forward to return to a standing position. He squeezes his glutes at the top to lock in the contraction. This hinge pattern is the core of the exercise. He performs 4 sets of 10, focusing on the slow, controlled lengthening of the muscles on the way down and the sharp, powerful engagement on the way up. The tension is constant. He never rests at the bottom or the top. He monitors the angle of his spine, ensuring no rounding occurs under the load. His breathing remains rhythmic, matching the tempo of the hinge. By the final set, the hamstrings feel tight and fully activated, reinforcing a functional movement pattern that protects his lower back while building posterior strength. He moves directly into the next movement, keeping the dumbbells at his sides to challenge his balance. He stands tall, then takes a controlled step backward with his right foot. He drops his back knee toward the floor, stopping just inches before it makes contact. His front knee stays aligned directly over his ankle, refusing to cave inward as the stabilizer muscles fire to maintain control. He pushes through the heel of his front foot to drive himself back to the starting position. He immediately repeats the movement with his left leg, alternating sides to ensure both sides of the body work equally. The fatigue from the previous exercises is now evident in his legs, making every step a test of precision. He keeps his torso vertical, bracing his core to prevent any forward lean that would compromise the alignment of his spine. Each rep demands total focus. One slight wobble would break the rhythm. He performs 3 sets of 10 repetitions per leg, watching his knee tracking with intense scrutiny. The constant back and forth movement forces him to recalibrate his center of gravity with every single step. As the final set progresses, the burn in his quadriceps intensifies. Yet he keeps the pace steady. He does not rush. He prioritizes the depth of the lunge and the stability of his gait, ensuring that even under the weight of exhaustion, his form remains crisp and disciplined. He steps away from the lunge stance and finds a flat, stable surface for the final lower body movement. He stands with his feet shoulder-width apart, distributing his weight evenly across the balls of his feet. He begins the calf raises by driving through the forefoot, lifting his heels as high as possible. He pauses at the top of the movement, squeezing the muscles in his lower legs to maximize the contraction, before lowering himself back down with complete control. He avoids letting his heels slam into the floor, instead stopping just before contact to maintain constant tension. Each repetition is a slow, deliberate ascent and a controlled descent. The burn begins to localize in the back of his lower legs, a sharp contrast to the deep muscle fatigue felt in his thighs moments ago. He performs 4 sets of 15 repetitions, focusing on the vertical drive of his body and the stability of his ankles. He keeps his core braced to prevent any swaying, ensuring the entire effort is directed into the lower leg muscles. As the final set concludes, he keeps his feet planted, feeling the lingering heat in his calves. He takes a deep breath, shaking out his legs to release the accumulated tension. This final sequence serves as the bridge between his localized strength training and the upcoming demand of full-body integration. He prepares his mind for the change in intensity that the next phase will require. The isolated work is complete, but the most taxing phase of the program lies ahead. He clears the space around him, organizing the equipment for a rapid transition between exercises. The circuit demands a different kind of focus. It is no longer about one muscle group at a time, but about the seamless integration of the entire body under a heightened heart rate. He takes a long, measured breath, centering his mind on the sequence to follow. The transition from the lower body focus into this full body demand requires a shift in rhythm. He paces the floor, checking the placement of the dumbbells for the squats and the rows. Every movement in the upcoming circuit must be executed with precision, yet the rest periods will be non-existent. He stands at the center of the gym, testing his grip on the weights, feeling the lingering fatigue from the previous days. This is the test of his total endurance. The stillness in the room feels different now, charged with the anticipation of the exertion to come. He knows the intensity is about to spike. He adjusts his stance, plants his feet firmly, and scans the sequence one last time. He is ready to move the entire system at once, pushing past the threshold where isolation ends and total body performance begins. The circuit begins. He picks up the weight, holding it at chest height, and drops immediately into the first goblet squat. He drives his hips back, keeping his spine vertical, and powers through the heels to stand. The rhythm is relentless. 10 repetitions are completed in quick succession, his breath steady but deepening with every rep. He drops the weight, does not pause, and hits the floor for the push-ups. His hands are placed firmly on the mat, fingers spread for stability. He lowers his chest until it clears the floor by an inch, then pushes back up with explosive force. The transition from the heavy load of the squat to the weight of his own body creates an immediate, sharp increase in his heart rate. His core remains braced, a rigid pillar against the strain of the rapid movement. He finishes 10 push-ups, the muscles in his chest and arms firing in synchronization. There is no time to rest. He transitions back to his feet, already pulling air into his lungs to fuel the next demand. The burn is systemic now, spreading from his legs to his upper body. Every repetition is a test of form under the mounting pressure of continuous motion. He remains locked in, maintaining a consistent pace as the intensity of the circuit reaches its initial peak. He moves directly to the dumbbells, no rest, no delay. He plants one foot forward, leans into the bench, and begins the one-arm rows. His back remains flat, a straight line of tension from neck to hip. He pulls the weight toward his rib cage, feeling the contraction ripple through his upper back. Each repetition is deliberate. He switches sides instantly, his movements sharp and efficient. The demand on his grip is increasing, but he refuses to let the weight drift. He stands, wipes the sweat from his palms, and immediately lifts the dumbbells for shoulder presses. He braces his core, locking his ribs down to protect his lower spine. The weights rise above his head in unison, then descend with absolute control. His arms tremble under the load, yet he does not accelerate. He slows the descent, fighting the urge to drop the weights quickly. The room is silent except for his rhythmic, heavy breathing. He is deep in the red zone now, where every movement feels heavier than the last. He stares straight ahead, eyes fixed on a single point on the wall, blocking out the burn in his shoulders. He completes the final press, resets his feet, and keeps his focus sharp. Every muscle is vibrating, but he holds his ground. The intensity is absolute. The shoulder presses end. He does not hesitate. He drops to the mat, planting his elbows directly beneath his shoulders. He kicks his feet back, locking his knees, and sets his body into a straight, rigid line. The timer starts. For the first 15 seconds, it is a test of alignment. He pulls his navel toward his spine, bracing his midsection against the pull of the floor. At 20 seconds, the vibration begins. His triceps burn, and his shoulders feel the cumulative exhaustion of the circuit. He keeps his gaze fixed on the space between his hands. A tremor starts in his thighs, threatening to pull his hips downward. He fights it, squeezing his glutes to force his pelvis back into position. His breath is no longer steady. It is a series of sharp, controlled exhales. Sweat beads on his forehead, tracking down to his temples, but he does not blink. 40 seconds pass. The fatigue is absolute, a crushing weight pressing against his entire frame. Every fiber of his core is firing to keep him from collapsing. He grinds his teeth, locks his elbows, and refuses to drop an inch. The final 10 seconds are a war of attrition. He holds the line, motionless, until the clock hits 60. He releases the tension, drops to his knees, and finally lets his chest hit the mat. He pushes himself up from the mat, chest heaving. His muscles are flooded with lactic acid, yet he moves with purpose. The conditioning phase begins now. He drops back into a push-up position, hands wide, and initiates the first round. Down, up, down, up. He maintains a blistering pace, forcing his arms to drive his weight off the floor with every repetition. He hits 10, snaps to his feet instantly, and drops into a deep squat. His heart is hammering against his ribs, a frantic rhythm that matches his exertion. He keeps his chest upright, driving through his heels to stand. 1, 2, 3. He pushes the tempo, ignoring the protest from his burning quadriceps. By the 7th squat, his form wavers, but he corrects it by bracing his core, forcing his hips back to maintain the hinge. 8, 9, 10. He does not stop. The air in the room feels thin, but he continues to draw sharp, rhythmic breaths. He is cycling through the movements, transitioning between the floor and his feet with fluid, mechanical precision. His pulse is climbing, his veins visible along his forearms, every movement pushing his cardiovascular system to its absolute limit. He is locked into the work, the exhaustion fueling his resolve rather than slowing his pace. He is ready for the next escalation. He drops from the final squat directly into a high plank position. His palms strike the floor, fingers spread wide to grip the surface. He does not pause to breathe. He drives his right knee toward his chest, then snaps it back, instantly firing the left. The rhythm is frantic, a piston-like motion that demands total coordination. 1, 2, 3, 4. The sweat drips from his nose, landing in rhythmic spots on the mat. His shoulders scream under the repetitive impact, but he ignores the fire. A slight slide of his left foot causes his hips to dip, breaking his form for a heartbeat. He grunts, slamming his weight back into his core to stabilize, and accelerates. He is sprinting while horizontal. The sound of his feet hitting the floor is a rapid, hollow drumming. His lungs are burning, demanding more oxygen than he can provide, but he forces himself to hold the pace. He is no longer counting reps, he is counting the seconds of his own endurance. Every drive of the knee is a battle against the urge to collapse. His core is tight, his back flat, and his gaze is fixed on the floor beneath him. He pushes the speed, driving his legs faster, faster, until his entire body vibrates with the sheer intensity of the effort. The movement stops. He locks his body into a straight line, forearms pressed deep into the mat. The final 30-second plank begins. His abdominal wall quivers under the sustained load, the muscles twitching as they stabilize his frame against gravity. He fixes his eyes on a single point on the floor, blocking out the lingering thrum of his pulse in his ears. He focuses on the air. Inhale through the nose for 4 seconds. Exhale through pursed lips for 6. The frantic rhythm of his heart begins to slow, losing its jagged edge. He feels the heat radiating from his skin, the sweat cooling in the air as he remains perfectly still. His shoulders, previously screaming from the exertion, now settle into a steady, locked position. Every fiber of his core stays engaged, fighting the urge to sag as the seconds tick down. 20, 25, 30. He drops his knees to the floor, exhaling a long, deep breath that empties his lungs completely. He sits back on his heels, allowing his arms to go limp. The room is quiet now, save for the sound of his own steadying respiration. He rests his head, feeling the immediate shift from high-stakes intensity to a state of calm, earned stillness. He pushes himself up from the floor, palms sliding over the surface of the mat. His movements are deliberate, controlled, and fluid. He stands tall, feet planted firmly, and rolls his shoulders back to release the remaining tension. The heat of the session still radiates from his muscles, a steady, pulsing warmth that signals the work is complete. He takes a long, deep breath, feeling the air fill his chest effortlessly. There is no tremor in his limbs, only the quiet hum of a body that has been pushed and has responded. He reaches out to steady himself on the wall, testing his balance, and finds it solid. He looks at his hands, steady and capable. A faint smile touches his face as he realizes the shift in his physical state. He is alert, grounded, and energized. He walks a slow circle around the room, feeling the strength in his legs and the stability in his core. Every movement is deliberate, a testament to the consistency of his form throughout the entire session. He has finished exactly where he intended to be, With his heart rate returning to a resting beat and his muscles feeling tempered by the effort, the silence of the room returns, now filled with the satisfaction of a goal met and a physical threshold crossed.